Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vassell and welcome and Merry Christmas to you. This is the 12 Games of Christmas series. And this is a series of videos we do where we take different types of games, give you 12 of them. We try to pick 12 games that are currently in print or at least able to be bought online somewhere. One place we recommend is Game Nerds. Fantastic store, great prices, great selection, great shipping, great everything. But we try to pick games that you can get. And today we are delving into advanced strategy. This is the kind of game that you're going to buy for that friend of yours who's a hardcore gamer. Or maybe you're the hardcore gamer. These are the kind of games that you want to get for yourself. Now, I want to talk to you if you're a hardcore gamer because this video is sponsored by the World Series of Board Gaming. And they have tournaments there. This is happening in September 2023. I was there last year, and it's fascinating to me to watch. I've already talked in some of our other videos about this, and in fact, in our strategy video, there's a contest where you can go and win a ticket there. But I want to talk a little bit about the tournaments. There are 16 different tournaments for 16 different games, and we have some very strategic games like Ark Nova and Dune Imperium and Great Western Trail. And then there's more simple games, but have no less strategy like Splendor and Azul and things like that. And Wingspan is one of the tournaments, but there's 16 tournaments. The winner of each tournament, first of all, they're going to win this ring that's worth $2,000, which is pretty cool. But then they'll be split into groups of 4, and they will play a different game than their tournament they won in. And then the winners of those 4 games will play one final game that's different than the other games they've won. So you will have to play 3 different games to win the whole $25,000 pledge. Now, I know a lot of people get flack when it comes to playing tournaments. People can get very serious. But this is the thing, folks. I really recommend you come to this for 2 reasons. One, it is serious play. You want to play against the best of the best. This is the convention to come to. But I watch competitors teach other competitors how to play games so that they could play in the tournaments. I saw people laughing and having a great time. And I think that good-natured camaraderie combined with very serious, cool play, this is the kind of tournaments that I like watching. I was very impressed with everybody who was involved. The whole thing was a lot of fun, and I got to see play at a high level. So definitely check them out. We have a link to their website in the description below. But now we want to talk about some games. We want to talk about some great games that you can buy where you get to use that strategic mind of yours to outthink, outwit, and wait, I don't want to get sued. Just other people to play against in games. Here's some games.
First up on our list is Ark Nova. This is a heavy strategy game all about running a zoo. So you have to build up your paddocks and have really cool animals so that people want to come and actually see and pay to come to your park. But you also want to focus on conservation and protecting the environment and those animals. So there's very cool things going on. You're also trying to earn money so that you can build more things and make your park bigger and better. And there's a very cool card system where cards are slotted at certain levels. As you spend them, you downgrade them to level 1 and move everything else back up. So there's a cool dynamic as you're taking these actions and as you're building that nice little puzzle of a park going on. There's also really cool ways to upgrade those action cards. And there's fun stuff on the board that you can get free as you build your park. So there's just very cool interactions and involvement going on. And it's a fun, heavy strategy game.
Up next on the advanced strategy list is Endless Winter Paleo-Americans. As you might expect from a game in this category, there's a lot going on in this game. You've got area control, you've got deck building, you've got set collection, you've got a lot of pieces and a big sprawling table presence. However, this is a game where all of those elements come together in a really satisfying way. Endless Winter Paleo-Americans is a game for people on your list that like heavy strategy games, but also like a beautiful production and an interesting theme of early humankind. It's a game that really takes all of these disparate elements and puts them together into a very, very satisfying whole. A really solid advanced strategy game. That is Endless Winter Paleo-American.
One of the most clever and unique heavier games I played this last year was Carnegie. Carnegie is one I'm recommending for an advanced strategy game because there's a lot going on. In one way, there's a map and you're building these route and connections, but you're also building up your own player board, developing these different industry tiles by sliding them out of your board, giving you more opportunities to build on the map, more opportunities for income. There's also an incredibly unique action selection mechanism that is intrinsically tied to scoring income for different parts of the map. And so you know what to try to build up for as you are trying to predict what other actions players will choose and when those incomes are going to be triggered. This is a great game. It is going to always be moving forward, and there's a lot to appreciate. So if you are into thinkier, heavier games, if you like player interaction where you can benefit from other players' decisions, and knowing that as you make a really good decision for yourself, you also are trying to not benefit too many other players, but you got to do what's best for yourself, then Carnegie is a game that I think would be great.
For our next recommendation in this advanced strategy category, we're going to talk about obsession. We're going to go back to the Victorian era here, where you are a family set in the Victorian era who has kind of a failing estate. You've fallen on some hard times and you need to build it back up. You're going to ultimately try to be, at the end of the game, have the most prestige. And how do you get that? You get that from reestablishing and rebuilding your estate. You start with your basic family members who are going to go out and make different connections by hosting events, which then are going to lead them to the right resources, which can then build the estate up further, opening those options and those different events that you can host. You also have to be careful and manage your actual pool of workers, maybe hiring a new cook, maybe hiring a new butler, things like that, in order to advance the options of what you can do each turn. This is a game where you really have to have that forward-thinking mindset, and that's why it falls great into this advanced strategy category, because you have to manage a couple different things. Again, your family member, when to build up, your resources to make sure you can build up, and then make sure that you can host activities at the right time and you have the right family members or connections available to you, as well as the right workers to make it successful. So if you know somebody that likes to balance those multiple options and plan a couple turns ahead, or someone that's really into this theme, I think both of those categories will really enjoy this game. For them, check out Obsession.
The next game we have is a very unusual game. So one of the most strategic games people like to play all over the world are trick-taking games, from hearts to bridge to spades. The game we're talking about here, Boru, is a trick-taking game in which you are trying to win a trick of cards, a hand of cards as you play through the table, and then the winner of this trick is going to get to control different spots on this board. The losers are going to get to activate what's on their cards. And so there's this really interesting mix about trying to win a trick. Sometimes you want to lose, but all the cards give different things. The higher cards have cool benefits, and you are trying to play and control different areas of the board, and it has this kind of historical motif behind it. There's a little bit of that history in play, but it is such an unusual game. A lot of the games that we talk about these days feel very samey. Oh, you place a worker here, you do this. You build up an engine of cards that does stuff. Boru is more about, in trick-taking games, I can usually sit back and toss a card in the middle of the table and you have a good time. This is not that. This is carefully, thoughtfully considering what card you're going to play, because I want to control this region of the country, because I want to be involved in a wedding. I want to repel the raiders that are attacking. And all of this comes into play, and all of it will score points in various ways, and it comes together in a really interesting, different kind of way. I also think it looks really cool. It's just a great product, and I think one a lot of people haven't taken note of. Well, I'm telling you, take note. That's Boru.
All right, so for advanced strategy here, we have Dice Realms. This is basically Dominion with dice, but it has a lot of interesting stuff. The fact that the dice faces change out, you're basically trying to build like a little engine with your dice that you have, and there's lots of different combos. There's tons and tons of different pieces and tons of different faces you can have for these dice, but you're basically trying to race to either run out all the victory points, run out all the wheat. Whoever has the most points at the end wins the game. It's a very interesting system in the fact that a lot of these faces have cool combo abilities where it's like, oh, you roll the symbol, you get to roll again, you get to do more things. It's an awesome game. I've had a blast with it. Dice Realms is a great, big, advanced strategy game. So if you're looking for something that's a lot of fun, that gives you that Dominion feel, but lots and lots of dice rolling, check out Dice Realms.
Next up, we have Red Cathedral. This is a nice, crunchy Euro game that fits in a relatively small box. So if the person you're buying gifts for, doesn't have a lot of shelf space, this could be a great choice. As well, the mechanisms are very interesting. You're building up a cathedral and you're competing architects. So you're both trying to have the best parts and kind of the majority in that cathedral to show the czar that you are that awesome and you're wonderful and he should definitely promote you and let you win the game. There's also a cool rondel dice mechanism that the dice that are placed out can let you know how many spaces you go so that you can choose actions and such. So it's very interesting. There's cool selection there. There's nice interaction if you like a lot of interaction with the area majority. There's some good stuff going on with Red Cathedral, and it might be the right gift.
Up next on Advanced Strategy is Twilight Inscription. This is a game that when it was announced, many people thought it was a joke because here you're taking one of the largest and most acclaimed space opera games, a huge box game called Twilight Imperium, and you're turning it into a roll and write game. Roll and writes are games that are typically thought of as small, kind of lightweight, fluffy filler type games. Here, you're taking a huge game and you're turning it into this genre. Does it work? It really does. Again, this is advanced strategy, so there's a lot going on. Every player has not one sheet they're paying attention to. They have 4 sheets that they're paying attention to. And it takes enough of the thematic elements from Twilight Imperium to make it still feel like that. But this is really a heavy roll and write above all else that utilizes the theme, some nods to its kind of big brother there, Twilight Imperium, but it, in and of itself, is a very distinct, heavy roll and write game. You don't see too many of those on the market, and that's why you should check out Twilight Inscription if you have someone on your list that likes heavy games but wants to think outside of the box a little bit.
Next up is Gutenberg. This is a really fun game about printing press and kind of fulfilling contracts, basically. There are a series of different actions that you'll take over the course of a single round, and players are using a sort of bidding mechanism to try to see who can go first in each round. But you have a fixed number of cubes that you can assign to each of these different actions. So if you really need to go first to grab new contracts, you can assign more cubes to that row. But that means that you're assigning fewer to grabbing ink to decorate those contracts, or to the gears action to get these gears that will give you recurring benefits each round. There's a lot going on for a very simple conceit. Grab tiles and print them to fulfill these contracts. But there's also a lot of fun going on, a very tactile experience, as the pieces are great. The printing press pieces are actually nice carved wood that are very satisfying to play with. The gears will provide these benefits and they rotate each round. And everything about it just feels very nice. The idea that you can fulfill a contract or you can ink it and decorate it and get even bigger benefits from it. I love this auctioning for turn order in a way that I haven't exactly seen before, and that feels a little bit fresh, but I also like that the core of the game is something kind of familiar, fulfilling these types of contracts. So if you know someone who maybe is into these historical themes or just wants a fun, great advanced strategy game, I'm recommending Gutenberg.
All right, next up for advanced strategy, we're going to be talking about Tidal Blades. In Tidal Blades, you are a contestant who is trying to prove their value and their worth to ultimately become a Tidal Blade. You're going to do this by visiting different arenas on the board and take different actions and compete in different challenges to level your character up, to level your dice up, and then ultimately be able to go and take out some of the big monsters. Where this advanced strategy really comes through is in the decision making on your dice pool. You are going to use dice in order to compete in challenges and to try to take out the monsters, but each night when they rest, you're going to be leveling those dice up. If you ever go fight a big monster, you lose those dice. So you really have to balance that turn structure to make sure you have enough mitigation in your pool when you go do these actions. But then also make sure you have a plan for your dice pool, because if you go and put all your high energy dice into fighting the big monster, you're starting over again, and that doesn't feel good. So you really have to think a couple times ahead, or a couple turns ahead. Make sure you've thought that into your plan here, your strategy, and hope for the best with a little mitigation. So if you know somebody that likes that kind of balancing those different actions and making sure they're planning ahead and that everything lines up well so that they have the best outcome possible with a little bit of mitigation and luck on their side, check out Tidal Blades.
Next up, let me recommend Now or Never, a game from Red Raven Games, covered in blistering, gorgeous artwork, and one that tells a fantastic story as well. It's going to be a game that is going to take you through its world. It'll show you different encounters, different peoples and characters that live there. And it's going to have a really neat combat system on top of it, in which you decide how you want to develop what you do. You need to level yourself up so that you can become more proficient at various things, and also decide how you want to win the game, how you are going to develop your buildings, develop your combat, what you interact with. It is a stunning game, very captivating. It takes you to a fantasy world and keeps you there, wraps you up in its lore and its beauty, and delivers a fantastic time doing so. That is now or never.
Our last game we want to talk about today is Iki. This just was reprinted recently, and it is a gorgeous reprint. In this one, like many of these games, you're trying to get a lot of points, but you do so by what we call a rondel. But forget the terminology. In this game, you are moving around a market. You have this worker who's moving around a market and buying and selling goods. And I really like that. As you go through this Japanese market and you stop at the different stores, each store that you stop at will give you some sort of benefit. But the benefits can get even better because you can install shopkeepers in these stores. And if someone else uses that benefits you. If you use it, it doesn't benefit you necessarily, but you might want to set up a combo that you think is really cool. And so you're placing these people in stores, you are moving around and utilizing the stores, and then you're just getting resources, getting ways so that your guy can move around the circle faster, building buildings, which can be worth a lot of points. But I want to make sure that you also know this game is gorgeous, and even though there's a lot of moving components and a lot of pieces, this game has one of the best in-game ways to teach you. Like there's a track for turns, there's a little player board, and everything comes and just makes complete sense. It's very easy to follow. You want to make sure that there's so many different shopkeepers that you can get. You're trying to get the coolest. They all feel different, and you're trying to install them in the right position to tempt other players to come to them, or just set yourself up for a good combo, or perhaps put them in a spot where they'll score you more points. Definitely one that I really enjoy. I can highly recommend. If you like advanced strategy games, check out Iki. And that is 12 great strategy games for you folks. For the gamer, these are games that we recommend you check out. Once again, we want to say thank you to our sponsors, the World Series of Board Gaming, and we want to say a very Merry Christmas to all of you. I hope that this list has been helpful to you, and as we move into the holiday season, I hope you have a fantastic one. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell, and you've been watching 12 Games of Christmas on the Dice Tower Advanced Strategy Games.